Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Coaches and athletic directors, our sponsor Scoreboard Media has an incredible opportunity for your school. Right now, they're giving away 2 large LED video scoreboards, $152,000 value per school, to 32 select high schools across the country. Scoreboard Media pays for the boards, the software racks, and iPad controllers, as well as the delivery and installation. On top of that, they'll run the entire advertising program, generating a significant revenue sharing opportunity for the school. Since 2021, Scoreboard Media has been helping high schools upgrade their gyms and execute professional sponsorship programs. Not every school qualifies, and they're signing up new schools every week. So inventory is moving fast, and the install calendar is filling up for the summer. If you're interested, reach out to Scoreboard Media founder Charlie Megan at charlie@scoreboardmedia.com to set up a call and see if there's a fit.
Have you ever heard of the I want theory? Okay, remember when you were a kid, your room would be a mess. Your mom would say, I want that room cleaned up now. You got me?
Yeah.
What'd you do? You cleaned up that room. She said, I want. Now, think about doing that in practice. I want you all to block out, or I want you all to start diving on the floor. So I tried this theory. I spend about 5 to 9 hours a day on YouTube. I've got too much free time. But anyway, so I saw this on YouTube about I want. So I decided I'm going to try this theory on my wife. Now, I didn't tell her what I was doing.
So, you gonna watch this?
She doesn't particularly get up early. So I told her the night before, I said, I want us to go to H-E-B shopping tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Okay? Well, she never does what I tell her anyway, you know. But anyway, so we get up. Heck, at 8:45, she's dressed. She's ready to go. She said, we got to go to that store at 10 o'clock. I thought, man, this theory works. But anyway, so try the I want theory on. I hope your wife's not listening. You try it on her. But anyway, that's not bad. Okay, next, thoughts for the day. Dean Smith did 2 thoughts for the day. And I think coaches should. I think you should put it. Do you teach any classes?
Not right now. I will have a couple speech classes, which I'm excited about.
Okay. But I think classroom teachers, and most of these coaches that are listening, they have a classroom. I think you should put a thought for the day up there. And because the kids are remembering stuff. They remember more than we think. And you remember what you wouldn't think they would. But anyway, Dean Smith put a thought for the day on the board about life. And then he put a thought for the day about basketball. In other words, like the thought for the day might be for basketball, dive on the floor. Okay. And then during practice, he'll stop it and he'll say, pick out one of the players. He'll say, what was the thought for the day? And if the kid didn't know it, everybody's got to run. Okay. If the kid knew it, nobody ran. Okay. He did that every day. Now, his thought for the day on life, he just wrote it up there and they had to read it. I don't think he asked them that. But anyway, here's a good one. And I want you to think about this. It's by Mark Twain. He and I are both from Missouri. I don't know what that means, but he's a little sharper than I am. But anyway, he said, when in doubt, tell the truth. Now, this is what he noticed about life. And some of these people are smart. He noticed that people that tell the truth don't get in trouble. No, I got to thinking about Watergate. These kids out here listening, these young coaches may not know what Watergate was. But anyway, Watergate, President Nixon lied about what went on at the Watergate Hotel. But I'd often thought if Nixon was going to win the election, all he had to do was shut up. But anyway, if Nixon just said, look, we broke into the Watergate Hotel. He said, that was dumb. We shouldn't have done that. I am sorry. America would have gone for it, you know? And I think tell the truth. You know, it's a good thing to teach kids. You can teach so much in basketball that like I used to make my players wear their practice jerseys inside. You know, I guess you could do that years ago. You wear them outside now, don't you? Probably practice jerseys.
Outside. What do you mean?
Okay, they'd had to tuck them in their shorts.
Tuck 'em in, yeah. I'm not a big stickler on it, personally.
I think as I look back at it now, it was dumb on my part, but I ran into one of my former players 3 or 4 years ago. He told me, "Coach Silver, you screwed up my life." I said, "How did I screw up your life?" He says, "I cannot wear my shirt tail outside. It has to be tucked in my pants." He said, "I'm 40 some years old and I have to have it tucked in every time I go outside." So I thought they something happens. They are listening or they're paying attention and so on. So thought for the days are important. So think about that. And you have to have a couple of them. You keep a whole book of them. I've got a thing here. If people wanted to email me, I've got 160 tweets that I saved that are just kind of like this, but you could write them down. Here's my, can you see this? Can you see it? Okay. And then I did have one sideline play that I can tell you all that's
Okay.
important from Morgan Wooden and so on. Okay. When players come out on the floor before practice, most kids just grab a ball, they go out there and start shooting, right? Till you get there or whatever. I don't think that should ever happen. I think they should get a ball and a partner. You don't have to assign them. They have to have a partner. They go out there, warm up just a little some way, and then they shoot 5 shots and their partner throws it back to them and they rotate and they keep doing that until practice starts. I think it's a better way to start. It's simple. Okay, I think that's good. So no free shooting. Why kids miss free throws? This is a Silverism. You ready? Now, it's not rocket science. Of course, I think you miss free throws because they fall backwards. Great free throw shooters when they shoot it, they'll eventually fall forward or stay where they are. But anyway, if you watch kids look at your tapes and they fall backwards, I don't know why. They're not in a hurry to get back for defense. But anyway, they need to not fall backwards. Now I learned from Al McGuire. Al McGuire is one of my mentors. I never knew Al McGuire, but anyway, we use the word paint, right? In basketball, the paint. He invented that, years ago. He's the first person to say shots in the paint. He had all kinds of different sayings that we use today we don't know about. But anyway, he always said, when you shoot a free throw, you shoot it to swish it. But if you're going to miss it short, let it roll in. If you hit the back of the rim has no mercy. So those are important ways that will help on free throws. On free throw shooting, Gino Auriemma 3 years ago decided in practice to have no free throw practice that year. The girls would never have free throw practice. They would just practice basketball and, no free throw practice. He said their percentage was just as good that year as the years they practiced shooting 50.
Yeah, interesting.
And
That is
so on. Gino
it's a
Ariamo
time,
also,
not a time waster, but it's definitely a time user. Like it sucks up a lot of time. And I think I've heard a lot of coaches say there's two things that you really you shouldn't have to teach in season practice. And one is effort and the other is your free throws. Those are things that they
that's
just have to
good.
bring with them.
Uh-huh. Well, I know in free throw shooting, when I first graduated from college, had a guy that I'd played against in high school that became a coach, and he coached a sophomore team in Kansas City. And he told them, he said, before we can go home tonight, each player had to make 10 free throws in a row. Now, this was at about 6 o'clock. He got home at 10:30 that night. Because he stood by his thing. But boy, I thought, don't ever do that. You
And
know,
you'll get some parent emails really quick from that.
I know you didn't get those back in the 70s. That you didn't
That's
have to
true.
worry about
You'll get a
that.
parent note.
It was a different world. I learned this from Steve Spurrier, but I think we need to get it in sports because I listen to all these podcasts and these guys talk so terrible. Steve Spurrier told them they couldn't use the F word in practice and they couldn't take the Lord's name in vain in practice or games. And I think that's good to know. I think the F word is just flying around too much and so on. Now, all of us know this, but you get what you emphasize. And I think you should have one thing a day. You get what you emphasize. And heck, if it's just one thing, each coach will have something different, but it'll be different every day.
For that to happen, though, Coach, that means that you got to know what you're looking for.
Right. Like I did this one day when I coached. I had a right-handed guard, point guard, and when he would throw it from the top of the key to the left, he would throw it right-handed, and the other team would deflect it. I lined the whole cotton picking team up, and I taught them all how to pass a ball to the left without getting it deflected.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I'm saying, and they never did it again. But usually you're going to make some screw ups. But anyway, I remember emphasizing that once. Have you ever heard of the forgetting curve? Okay, this is important for coaches. You ever heard of George Raveling? He's a Hall of Fame coach, and he has reading with he's big on reading. I think he's still alive. He lives in California. He coached at SC, a lot of different places. Great coach, a better person than coach. He's like say he's in the Hall of Fame. Well, he has the forgetting curve, and this is what it is. Former coach George Raveling subscribes to the forgetting curve. It claims that players forget 55% of what they learn within 1 hour. 1 hour, they're going to forget 55% of what you tell them. After 1 day, they'll forget 65%. After 1 week, they will have forgotten 75%. Point behind this theory is telling your players once is not enough. You actually have to show them. You should actually show them. My last year that I coached, I did a pet peeve every day. One thing that I hated. I mean, I would actually show them about getting on the floor. I would dive on the floor, but I was only 52 or something at that time. But anyway, I think they got to see it too, and they got to do it. Anything I can do, I have got. But if you just tell me, I can't get it. But anyway, remember the forgetting curve. I think it's great
Coach,
for
I
coaching.
think that's really important because I know I'm guilty of, and a lot of coaches guilty of, in the moment in a game or in a practice, stopping and saying, "Hey, listen, we talked about this. Don't you remember? We talked about this. We went over this." And
Uh-huh.
it's I'm guilty of it. I don't think to your point about those percentages, I don't think it's much of an indictment on our players and them not paying attention or caring. I think it's more of
Uh-huh.
shows our lack of teaching something
Uh-huh.
and how like PGC was great about this. They said you players have to hear it, they have to see it, they have to do it. And some
Uh-huh.
people need all three of those. Other people just need one or two, or in different levels. But I think, and you've probably heard this too, is we haven't taught them until they've got it right. Like they can't get it wrong or
Till they've
something like
learned.
that. But yeah,
Yeah,
until they've
till they've
learned it.
learned.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that the Point Guard College said? There are 3
They
things?
said players have to see it, they have to hear it, and they have to do it. So see it
Okay.
is maybe us showing them or through film. Hear it is obviously us
Uh-huh.
telling them, but then doing it is them going through the actions themselves.
Uh-huh. That is good. I need to send that out in a newsletter. That was great.
Vindictive Enzio. Did you ever get to run into him?
I never ran into him. I've read about him. He's got 2 of the greatest books, Stuff, and I'm sure the guy's a genius.
He
You know,
was. He was. Yep.
he was good. I remember actually when he played at Duke years ago.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah.
forgetting curve. I think basketball coaches and football coaches, I think we need to become a team. We need to learn, in big schools and stuff, you're fighting over players, but not so much like where I coached at La Vega, the kids all played football, but it seemed like they liked basketball better, but they, we played all, and I never did talk a kid out of not playing football or ever. And fortunately, God was good to me. I never had anybody get hurt playing football, you know, seldom
Yeah.
miss a game and so on. But anyway, but I think basketball coaches don't have two-a-days much anymore. But anyway, in football, but I think basketball coaches ought to buy donuts or something on Saturdays and coffee and take it up and give it to the coaches, just once a year. I think it would be good.
Like that. Yeah.
And knowing all the football coaches' names, because we need to work together better. Okay. Now I want to tell you about a team sign. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you this earlier. A team sign, nobody does this. But I learned, well, in Texas that I know of. There was a real good coach in Missouri that was at a school that was good at football. Okay. He was at a 6A school, but he wanted to try to build up his basketball team. And so he thought, what can I do to make this kind of positive for us? So he thought of a team sign. And this team sign is not only for this year, it's for the rest of our life when we meet. Okay. So in other words, I'll just give you one thing. This is what I came up with, but each school would come up with their own sign. So like you don't do this in the halls when you meet at school. You do this whenever you run into each other off campus, say, just a different job, just when you run into each other. But the one I came up with was if I ran into you and we were on the same team, the coaches do it too, by the way, not just the players. You pound your heart twice with your fist and then point at the other guy. There's numerous ones, but it stays that way forever. And you make them do it. You can't hardly punish them off campus for running, but anyway, make it a big deal. I think it's kind of cool, don't you?
I do. I love that idea. And I'm all for little things like we snap quite a bit to each other because that's a PGC thing that I just borrowed and we use there. But I really like the idea of having something that
What was the
like you
thing they did?
said, we just snap a lot for
Okay.
to celebrate. It kind of takes the place of clapping. It's like a lot of amen at church. That's what's kind of like. Like if I
I
say
like
something
it. I
that you
love it.
agree with, you snap. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that is good. I love it. That's
But the
tremendous.
team sign, coach, that's
Okay.
really cool. And I think what I like about it is what you said is it changes every year. So it's not just like program wide, like after 10 years, everybody's doing the same sign. It's for that group and where I think they can get together, have some fun with it. But like you said, we need to all be on the same page. Coaches need to do it. I love that.
Okay. Good.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.